Hello, you beautiful nerds. If you've been watching me and Nine talk about this on his live stream, you know how obsessed we are with this show. And if you haven't been watching, why not? I thought we were cool. What happened? Seriously though, where the first season piqued my interest, season 2 has absolutely blown my mind. From the character work to the plot to the cinematography, everything has taken a big step up. But let me pace myself and let's talk about what we're talking about. So grab all of your clone brothers and cop a squad on the couch because we're gonna have a quick chat about... But first, a prelude. In the year of our Lord, January 2nd, 1920, writer Isaac Asimov was born in Russia. Well, he wasn't a writer then, he was just a little baby. But to talk about this show, we have to at least mention how influential Isaac Asimov's Foundation book series is. There would be no Dune, no Star Wars, no whatever this is.
This is Sador of the Malmori. I command you to surrender.
There would be none of this without Foundation. I mean, this guy invented an entire genre of sci-fi. The whole idea of a galactic empire that is now in pretty much every space opera started out in this book series. He was inspired by the book The History of the Decline and the Fall of the Roman Empire, as he was fascinated by the idea of a seemingly idealistic world and what decisions made by its inhabitants that can lead to it collapsing under its own weight. And that is what Foundation is all about. Which brings us to our next part of our video. The Galactic Empire is made up of almost 25 million planets. Not countries, friggin' planets. And that is, I mean, that's too much.
Our genetic dynasty has reigned for almost 4 centuries.
The genetic dynasty, clones of Cleon I, decanted at different ages.
And it's run by 3 clones of a dude named Cleon at 3 different ages, nicknamed Dawn, Day, and Dusk. And they just keep rotating out these 3 generations, so nothing ever really changes. You think people stay in the Supreme Court too long? Imagine dealing with Brett Kavanaugh at 20, 40, and 60 years old for like infinity. A scientist named Harry Seldon predicts that this stagnation will lead to the eventual fall of the Galactic Empire with a science that he created called psychohistory, and this little thing called the prime radiant that projects the psychohistory equation that predicts the future by applying mathematical statistics to past events in history and human psychology. Confused yet? Yeah, it's confusing. This is a pretty heady series. It's a lot more contemplative than your typical sci-fi space property. And Harry has no plan to prevent this from happening, but he claims that creating a foundation,
hey, that's the name of the show,
in the outer reaches of the galaxy may help prevent the fall of the Galactic Empire from lasting forever. It'll only last a few centuries or so. Not so bad, just generations of darkness and despair. It's alright.
That ain't no problem. Huh? That ain't no problem.
And that's if everything goes right. Which, spoiler alert, it does not. The most awe-inspiring thing about the show is arguably the scale. If we're talking about places, number of characters, or just friggin' lengths of time, the scale is enormous. Planets get ripped in half, story arcs last hundreds of years, and the sheer gravity and importance of everything going right feels that much more devastating when they don't. At the same time, though, the show doesn't forget to have small personal moments. Some of the best moments in the entire series come from just 2 people in a room talking. And usually, if the scene is incredible, it's because those 2 people are Laura Byrne or Lyra Byrne. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Will you pronounce your last name, which none of us can do properly?
Byrne. It's quite simple, just like spit it out, Byrne.
And the amazing Lee Pace. By the way, I've been a big fan of this guy forever. Pushing Daisies, Halt and Catch Fire, Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day. He's had a lot of great performances, but this really is the role of a lifetime, and he is the clear MVP of the series. And while Lee Pace's character represents, in a way, the largeness of the show, 2 other characters represent the importance of choice and the strength of individuals. As helpless as we may feel at times because everything just feels doomed and we're just too small or insignificant to stop it. Why vote? Why march? Why recycle? Why do any of these things if our fate seems inevitable? One of the core concepts of psychohistory is that though it can predict the future of the galaxy based on the behaviors of societies, individual actions can't be accounted for. The 2 most important characters, aka the Gal Pals, are Gale and Salvor. Gale, who can see the future, and Salvor, who has visions of her parents' past. Because of these abilities, they both have the potential to alter the trajectory of reality. These characters represent humanity's chance to go against what we're quote-unquote destined to do. Despite how depressing the show can be, it's also incredibly hopeful. In the same moment where something devastatingly tragic happens, there will be a scene that gives you this little glimmer of hope that we as humankind aren't preordained to burn ourselves alive. This show challenges the audience to ask, what is freedom and what would you sacrifice for it? Mostly everyone on this show, Demerzel, Sereth, even Empire, what they all ultimately want, especially in the wake of this math equation that supposedly predicts the future, is, well, what they want is Adrian Brody, Mark Ruffalo, could you help me out?
You want an unwritten life? I want an unwritten life.
What this season has shown us is that Harry's plan isn't set in stone. This has positive and negative implications, but for the most part, it's a sliver of optimism in a story that tends to be very bleak. I mean, this is a show where entire civilizations have been wiped out in the blink of an eye, and where Science Jesus has told all of humanity that we're about to go through Dark Ages Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. Knowing that we have agency and choice may be the best news someone could get under these circumstances. Which, yeah, that's still pretty depressing. I know there are a lot of people out there who are big fans of the source material who are not happy with the direction of the series and wish they didn't deviate so much from Asimov's writing. And I haven't read the books, so maybe that lack of attachment is helping with my enjoyment of the series. But as I've mentioned before, books and TV shows are two wildly different mediums, and in adapting one source into another, something is gonna change. That being said, I can't imagine this show executing these themes and stories in a more satisfying way than they did this season. Me and Nine talked about this briefly because we were talking about the best seasons of television this year, and though I loved Last of Us, after thinking about it and rewatching a lot of this season, this was, in my opinion, the best shot, acted, and written season of television this year so far. My ranking, I loved it. Alright, that's it for this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, keep a lookout for the new channel we started with our friends over at 9 Nerd Yards called Nerds at Night. So if you're a super nerd, throw on your cape and head on over. There's a link in the description. Stay safe, my little spacers, and may the force be with you.